All right, so on the program this morning, we're looking at trucking operations and port accessibility, a critical analysis of the port access corridor in Lagos. And joining me on the phone this morning, JAMA ONWUBUARIRI is Managing Director and Co-Founder of Trucks Transit Parks Limited right here in Lagos. Mr. JAMA, nice to have you. Good morning.
Good morning, Victor. Nice to have you as well.
All right, I suspect you're not in Lagos.
No, I'm not at the moment.
Okay, then. So let's touch down on this. So you are the operator of one of the foremost truck transit parks that we have around. So how are things faring with the TTP?
Well, it's been largely good, subject to, of course, the economy that we're all subject to. The system has been running as conceived, with updates and improvements almost on a daily basis.
Right.
A couple of weeks ago, I sent a message to Mr. Sanwo-Olu that it took me 20 minutes from Liverpool in Apapa to the local airport in Lagos. Right. Something that would have been inconceivable just 4 years ago or so. So I think that there is a lot of improvements on port access, especially given.
Right, which is very, very good. So that means the introduction of a truck transit park is really, really bringing a whole lot of improvement. But for those who do not really know what a truck transit park is, can you break it down for us? What kind of a transport infrastructure is it?
All right, so a truck transit park, as the name implies, is a parking facility for trucks that are in transit. So what this means is that if a truck is coming from location A to destination B, and it is not able to make a continuous movement from point A to point B, and it needs to make a stop for any reason whatsoever along the way, then there is a parking facility that is on its route that it can wait until its business or its ability to continue on its journey is possible. Right. So that is what a truck transit park is. And of course, there are, apart from being able to park in that facility, there are certain infrastructure that needs to be on ground for the safety and convenience of both the trucker, the cargo, and the truck. So
let's touch down on this infrastructure, perhaps the facilities that must be in a truck transit park. What are the things that you have there?
So, of course, we have a parking area. We have a waiting area for drivers. We have a customer service unit where drivers can go in, make inquiries, receive support. There is also the public conveniences. You have access control. You have CCTV surveillance. You have security infrastructure, both in terms of personnel and materials, and you also have security lighting. So all of these together make up the facilities within a typical truck transit park. But the kicker, Victor, is that we introduce technology to how these trucks are gated in, out, how they are booked into the terminals where they are going to, and generally how their movement is managed end to end. So it is that technology that really makes the huge difference.
All right, so that's part of the e-call-up system. We'll touch down on that as the program moves on. But how big is your truck transit park?
So we currently manage a 750 capacity truck park at the Lily Pond container terminal that is able to take almost all of the trucks that are going into the port on a daily basis at full capacity. Currently, we are working with 24 state governments to also develop about 30 truck transit parks as a network across the country.
Oh, that's good. So apart from the one in Lagos, you're thinking of doing some in other states as well?
Yeah, we've advanced conversations with various state governments to replicate the facility in their states as well.
All right, so ever since the one in Lagos, which you are operating right now, when did it kick off?
February 27th, 2021 was the launch date.
Right, and that coincides with the time when the electronic call-up system was also introduced. Am I correct?
So they go hand in hand, Victor. You can't have an electronic call-up system without a truck transit park.
So let's look at that now. The e-call-up system. When it started in 2021, a lot of people applauded it. Pundits said this is the game changer, and of course, it did bring a whole lot of change. But at the point, some observers began to give some complaints about its efficiency. So talk to me. You are the one operating that truck transit park. How is it in collaboration with the call-up system? How is it faring?
So, Victor, whenever a system is conceived, there is what is called a standard operating procedure. And that standard operating procedure assigns responsibilities and roles to various stakeholders. So for us, as the technology partner in that mix, we are supposed to develop the principal truck transit park and then the technology backbone that is supposed to manage the traffic flow to each of the truck parks that are on the network and then into and out of the terminals that are within the ports. Now, the responsibilities that are assigned to other stakeholders include, for example, the Nigerian Port Authority as our primary regulator, providing policies and procedures and to some extent enforcement, and Lagos state government and other apparatus of the federal government like the police, the road safety, to provide compliance enforcement along the port access roads.
Right.
Now, for the users are supposed to go through the booking process. And then after their booking is confirmed, they now follow the SOP or standard operating procedure for their movement into the port. Now, as long as every one of these stakeholders comply with the roles and responsibilities assigned to them on the SOP, you are going to have a seamless operation of the call-off system. And that was what everybody experienced within the first couple of months. But there was a problem that the call-off system came to solve. And that was manual processes. Manual processes of truck access. And that manual process had bred corruption, inefficiency, and a sort of cartel of middlemen, facilitators, who you have to pay a lot of money for you to be able to move your truck from point A to point B. The call-off system, being an electronic, impersonal system, took out that cartel. So after the system was seen to be operating efficiently in the first couple of months, the cartel tried to regroup and come back. And you started seeing artificial bottlenecks in terms of those who are supposed to enforce compliance on the road, trying to introduce additional artificial traffic, if I may say, so that the trucks can stall, the drivers can get frustrated, and then they will be compelled to part with money. So that desire to continue sucking at their feeding bottle contributed to some of the challenges. And because these are perhaps armed enforcement agents and sometimes informal actors who may have political or non-political backing, it presented a couple of problems. But what we did was to respond with technological solutions. So we've come up with about 300 updates on the ATO app between 2021 February and today, and that has enhanced the security, the reduced human interference, and improved the ability of both the users and the regulators to be able to comply with their respective roles.
So if I'm to interrupt now, so you're saying that within that 2021 and now you've had almost 300 upgrades of this same ATO app?
Over 300 upgrades on the app. Now, let me compare that with other apps that you're used to, Instagram, Facebook, Gmail, and the rest. They typically go through upgrades. Sometimes these upgrades are announced if they are major, sometimes they are not announced if they are minor, and if they don't affect the way you use the app so much. So that's what we've done basically. It's an app, it's a digital device which has to go through improvements. So as we get feedback from the streets as to how customers are reacting or challenges they are facing, we go back in-house and continue to make these upgrades.
So let me now find out from you. So let me now find out for you, the operators now, the truck operators now, what has been their response with the use of the ATO app? Are they very comfortable, or do you have a feeling that they might have also gone behind the scene with those middlemen on the roads who are trying to see that let the old system return? What have you noticed?
So an honest trucker would not have a complaint about the turn-by-turn, first-come, first-served approach that this digital solution has brought. An honest trucker will have absolutely no complaint about it. And when we interview our customers, and mind you, we can monitor those who are complying and those who are not complying. That's the importance of data, artificial intelligence, and being able to use electronic systems. We can know those who have complied and those who haven't. And those of them who are following the process absolutely have no complaints that you hear, because if they have any challenge, they call our customer service and those are resolved. So typically those who complain are those who seek a personal advantage. And some of these have approached us at the beginning to say, oh, can you give us these slots? Can you allow us to have this priority? Can you give us this preference? And our response has always been, this is an impersonal system. It's not dependent on familiarity with anyone. You simply go and do your booking and you go to the ports. But I will tell you legitimate concerns that our customers across board have had. There are some times when police and other law enforcement agents extort money from them. And these reports have been coming in very frequently. All right. So like I said earlier, sometimes those who are meant to enforce compliance create artificial bottlenecks or artificial traffic in order to stall the drivers, slow down their movement, try to make them engage them on a one-on-one. So what can you do for me? Can I help you?
Right. Hello? It appears the network is stalling a bit there. JAMA, are you there? Okay, we'll try and see how we can re-establish a connection, and then we can get a little bit more and on the facts, really, especially on those who are trying to more or less stall the system and not allow technology to take its course as relates to truck management and, of course, the entry of trucks into the ports. If you're wondering who I'm speaking with this morning, we're talking about trucking operations and port accessibility, and we're looking at it from a critical analysis of the port access corridor. JAMA ONWUBUARIRI is a managing director and a co-founder of the Truck Transit Parks Limited, and we are delving into that. Hello, are you there? Okay, yet to get connection. We'll just take a brief break. When we return, we'll find out much more.
Yeah. Okay. You, Victor.
Okay, you're back.
Yes.
Right. So you were trying to break it down for us. Those who are more or less trying to, put some clog in the wheels of progress of this kind of technology, which is meant to enhance efficiency.
Yes, and I've mentioned the law enforcement agents, sometimes those who go rogue. Right. We also have informal actors. So as we popularly call them in Lagos, area boys. Who perhaps were enablers and facilitators of the old system, still trying to find a means of creating bottlenecks within the new system in order to extort the drivers, because they know that these drivers are desperate to get to the port, to drop off their cargo or pick cargo, and then go and meet other maritime commitments that they have. So these complaints have been coming in constantly, and they have been channeled to the appropriate authors, especially the government agencies, to try to do something about it.
Right.
So if you take out the extortion by enforcement agents, harassment by informal agents, it has largely been working as programmed. But like I said, there are still some within the system who were used to the old system because it gave them an advantage because of their relationship with those who were managing it, because of the amount of money that they had or the amount of business that they had, which translates to a lot of money, who would want to go back to a system that is based on preference.
All right.
So that is something we are constantly working on, both through digital solutions and through stakeholder engagement.
All right, then Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM. We're looking at trucking operations around the port access corridor. And JAMA is taking us to the classroom this morning. He's co-founder of the Truck Transit Parks in Lagos. We're going to take a short break right now. You could just give me 1 minute. When we return, we'll be talking about the role that this technology has played in optimizing trucking operations and reducing congestions. And then for those of you who are stakeholders too, we'd like to hear from you. What are your experiences and what are the challenges of truck drivers operating within that corridor? You can connect with us. That will be on 09153 877127. That's 09153 877127. Or you can also try 08099 120 777. A brief break. We will be back.
From A to B, from A to B, from north to south, from north to south, from east to west, from east to west, from port to port, from port to port. You can ship your goods and feel good too. Oh yeah, Nigeria Shippers Council, we meet you at the point of your need.
The Nigerian Shippers Council is now better poised with responsive systems in place to help you and other shippers get seamless, stress-free transition for your clients' goods from point A to B. Today at the Nigerian Shippers Council, timeliness, orderliness, transparency and efficiency is all we care about. Put your complaint through to our helpline 0818-888-8895. Visit us at number 4 Ayodele Shoyode Lane, Apapa, Lagos, or reach us on www.shipperscouncil.gov.ng.
Nigerian Shippers Council, we meet you at the point of your need.
Nigerian Shippers Council, we meet you at the port of your needs.
Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM. Maritime today is the program, and of course we're still looking at trucking operations around the truck transit park, around the port access corridor. That's our focus this morning. Quickly getting back to the roads, I understand, and I told you earlier on that around the Ikponri end there's a high tension wire that dropped on a co-bridge main carriageway at Alaka inward to co-bridge. So take note of that, and that's what's causing the slowness. Backlog is somewhere around the stadium, but officers are managing the situation at the moment. So if you are within that corridor, that's what's happening. Victoria Island, I understand traffic is on the very busy side with slow movement from Lekki heading towards the Toll Plaza, Sandfield, School Corner, Civic Center, inwards areas like the ramp due to high influx. And of course, we did tell you also the Lekki Link Bridge, there's a broken down articulated vehicle there which is affecting the movement around that corridor. All right then, so if you want to join the conversation, feel free. 08099120777 and 09153877127. JAMA, let's get back to the conversation this morning. So the e-call-up system A2, as good as it is, do you think it's under threat at the moment?
So, Victor, it depends on what you define as threat. Cyber security is a constant problem across the world. So if that's where you're coming from, then I won't call it a threat in the special sense of it.
Okay.
Is it under threat from stakeholders?
Yes.
I don't really think so, Victor. And here is why. The call-up system has become part and parcel of the protocol for trucks accessing the port. It's here to stay. And the structure of this system with the MPA is that it will continue to be used for port access. And because of the success it has achieved in the last 4 years and 2 months of its operation, it is inconceivable that the government will do something different or perhaps go back to a manual system. The federal government is also seriously working on what is called a port community system, whereby all the touch points within the port processes are digitally connected.
Right.
A call-up system is a critical aspect of that digital infrastructure. So there are challenges by all means, and that's usually what you expect when you have a system that is democratic, that is very functional. Someone says you don't throw stones at an empty tree. But we keep working on those challenges. We anticipated them, we designed with those challenges in mind, and we keep on working on improving.
Let me see if I take this call. 08099120777. Hello there. Hello. Okay, I guess we're having a little challenge with that. Messages coming in here for you. This one says, good morning, Lagosians. I am Emmanuel from Owode. Please, have efforts like the A2 call-up system made any real difference in the traffic chaos? Okay. All right. So I think you talked about that earlier on, but let's take this call. Hello there.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Victor.
Good morning.
Please, Chief Ogungbemi.
Oh, Chief Ogungbemi. Okay, you are the, I want to call you the President General or Chairman General of Amato. So talk to us this morning.
Yeah, I will say that as one of the operators in the maritime industry, I will say that one of the best things that has ever happened to the trucking operation in maritime industry is the introduction of electronic system of admitting trucks into the port, introduced by management of Nigerian Port Authority through the TTPH.
Okay.
And the only challenge we have that have been said is that there's need, because no matter how good any system is, you need to be improving on it. So the improvement on the process is low. So I am advising, let there be improvement. What am I saying? You remember when we were recharging our phone, I mentioned it in the meeting we had recently with the NPA management of Papa Port. When we were to recharge our card, we normally buy card. Then, if you're not careful in scratching the card can get spoiled, of which we will not be able to load it again.
Right.
But as they improve, you don't need to buy cards again. The improvement has gotten to an extent that you can even recharge your phone without buying cards. So this is what I'm looking at. But as far as the system is concerned, it's the best thing that ever happened to trucking operation in maritime industry.
All right.
So the TTP should try and see how they can improve on it, so that before a truck leaves anywhere it's parked, you must have seen and know when it is done, so that the road will not be jam packed. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Chief Ogungbemi. JAMA, I'm sure you must know Chief Ogungbemi very well.
Yes, I know, Chief.
Okay.
Thank you.
So he's saying that there should be much more improvement in what you have right now, and he believes TTP is one of the best things that ever happened to the maritime sector. So kudos to you guys. But in terms of improvement, what would be your response to him?
All right. So Victor, last 2 years, June 2023 to be precise, we developed an e-tag system. So the e-tag system is meant to replace paper tickets, and it's meant to provide a foolproof digital identification for every truck that is doing business in the ports. This e-tag was in-house developed, so our engineers developed this in-house, bearing in mind the unique operating environments where we see ourselves.
Okay.
Now, this e-tag system was meant to identify every truck specifically, digitally, so that you cannot swap plate numbers. You cannot swap the identity of one truck for another. We also developed what is called the ETO Interchange Transaction Number, or EITN. This is meant to link every booking made on the ETO app to a specific cargo, whether inbound or outbound. So these two solutions were meant to ensure that there is security, there is data integrity, and there is less human interference in the process of trucks getting access into the ports.
All right.
And this was meant to be a game changer. We are waiting for approval from the Nigerian Ports Authority for this initiative to be implemented.
More reactions coming in here. This one says, good morning, Traffic Radio. What's the day-to-day reality of a typical truck driver trying to access the ports? Shegun Oni, he sent that one in. Shegun, thank you so much. I think ONWUBUARIRI talked about that earlier on, but I'm sure you might want to respond. Another one here says, good morning, Lagosians. I am Emmanuel from Owode. Please, have efforts like the ETO call-up system made any real difference in the trucking chaos? All right. Thank you so much. I think you were about responding to that before now when we took that call. But go ahead.
Yeah, so talking about the day-to-day reality, we have truckers who, in the past, it will take them 2 weeks for them to get into the ports. And these 2 weeks is that you pay 250,000 or 300,000 to formal and informal actors. Today, that process typically takes between 48 hours to 72 hours. Now, there are scenarios where drivers are meant to stay longer than this period, either in the parks or in the frigates. And here's why, Victor. For one, there are times when you have congestion within the terminal. So these trucks are coming. The servicing of those trucks is slow at the terminal end. And so the free flow of new traffic into the terminals cannot proceed at pace. What that means is that those who are waiting in the parks or the frigates to come in will not be able to come in because those who are in are not coming out as fast as possible. There are also scenarios where you have that the terminals may be going through maintenance. And this maintenance, if they are unscheduled and unannounced in advance, then it means that trucks that have already been scheduled to come in will then be delayed because they can't be serviced when they're coming. So those scenarios exist. There are also times where you have a breakdown along the port access road, and if the removal of those breakdowns are not speedily done, then it's going to affect the flow of traffic in.
All right.
But the worst scenario, Victor, is when you have drivers who are heading to the port with a valid ticket, and then perhaps the job changes. So maybe what they are going to pick up at the port has been picked up by someone else.
Right.
Now, this is something that the EIT and I talked about earlier is going to solve. So you can't pick a cargo that you haven't booked for.
Okay.
If that happens, the driver may then stall to see if he can get a new business before he can proceed.
All right.
And when you have 2 or 3 trucks stalled, it's then going to affect the flow of
and that could lead to congestion.
Are all ongoing problems.
Right.
Correct.
Let me see if I can take this call. Hello there. Okay, messages here. This one says, what metrics or KPIs do you use to measure progress or success in your operations? Engineer Olaiton is sending that one in. Another one here says, Victor, are there plans to scale TTP solutions beyond Lagos or Nigeria? I think you've touched down on that. But quickly, let's respond to that even as we gradually wind to the end of the program. So what plans do you have? I know you mentioned that.
What are the KPI?
Yes.
So let me talk about the KPI. And these are facts that are out there in the street. Anyone can verify it. I mentioned one earlier, Victor, which is that trucks used to spend 2 to 3 weeks on the port access route before they get in. So that's one matrix. That's not happening anymore.
Okay.
Second is that if you want to get to Apapa, you will need to take bike. And that bike will need to drive one way. That was the reality before we came aboard.
That has changed.
So that's a physical reality.
Okay.
There were real estate slump in Apapa before 2021 February when we came on board. People were selling their houses, abandoning it. That's no longer the case. You see new multi-million naira development. Some businesses that left Apapa are now coming back. That's another matrix. Go out in the street, you'll see.
All right. I know. If I give you the whole day, we might have to you talk a lot, and of course there's a lot more you have to say. But in rounding off, what's your message to those who are out there and the little challenges that you're having? What do you think can be done to really, really have improvement in 30 seconds?
So, number one, stakeholders should join us in the advocacy for approvals to initiatives which we have come up with, which require regulatory approval. So the stakeholders know these initiatives, the ETAG, the EITN, in order to further digitize the port access. The second is that stakeholders, our drivers, transport owners, terminal operators, should all adhere to the SOP. Okay. That is going to make sure that the system continues to run as intended. All right. We appeal to our law enforcement agents to continue to enforce the law as it is written and not introduce artificial bottlenecks and congestion that further delays the entry of trucks in and out. Okay, then we'll leave it at that for now, and hopefully by the time you are back in Lagos, we'll have you in the studios one of these days. Thank you, Victor. All right. Thank you very much for the time. It's nice connecting with you. I've been speaking with JAMA ONWUBUARIRI. He's the managing director and co-founder of Truck Transit Park Limited. And we've been looking at trucking operations and port accessibility, a critical analysis of the port access corridor in Lagos. We have to go. The program this morning has been produced by Taiwo Barua. I say big thank you to the assistant director. Talking about Rebecca Adamu, Assistant Director, Public Relations for the Nigerian Shippers Council, Milan Ojo, and Ayomide Omolaja in the building. I say a very big thank you to Okpeyemi Shodunke and, of course, others in the social media team. Our executive producer, Tayo Akonle. Connect with the Shippers Council on all their platforms at NG Shippers. My name is Victor Oteri. I'm out. Stay very much within. Bye.